We're going to take 1 more minute here. Just letting those knees fall in towards one another. Feet coming to the width of the mat. Allowing the body to relax down onto the mat. Hands resting on the belly. Finding that deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And as you're lying here, I just want you to notice how you're feeling today. Notice if you're storing any tension or tightness in your body. And if you are, let it go. Send your exhale there. Maybe it's in your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. 3 areas of the body we quite often store that tension and tightness. Just allow the shoulders to soften, the jaw to soften, the neck to soften. And as we lie here feeling nice and relaxed, nice and grounded, I want to start our class with a short poem that I think is quite apt for this current moment in time. It's okay. It's okay to feel down. It's okay not to hold it all together. It's okay to wish things were different. Beautiful friend, it's okay to feel everything you're feeling. Even when you think you're supposed to be strong, it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're weak. Asking for help makes you strong. Give yourself time, allow yourself to let go of everything you've been holding in, because I promise allowing yourself to be vulnerable only makes you stronger. Just listen to your breath, feel the rise and the fall of the chest and the belly. We're going to take 1 more deep breath in. And on your next exhale, slowly begin to lift your arms up over your head. Slide your heels all the way out long, finding a nice big stretch from your fingertips to the toes. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, begin to hug your right knee up towards your chest. Take your hand onto your right shin. Give that right leg a nice big hug in towards you, finding a stretch here in the hip and in the leg. 1 more breath. On your exhale, hands slide behind your right thigh. Taking the hands behind that right thigh, start to lift the right heel up towards the sky. Gently begin to circle your right foot, gently in one direction. And then finding that circle in the opposite direction, stretching out the ankle. Nice deep breath. On your next exhale, begin to bring that right leg all the way back in towards the chest. Hands come back onto your right shin. We're going to let the left hand come down beside us, palm facing down. Slide your right hand on top of your right kneecap and start to take that right knee out to the right side. So you're finding a stretch here in the hip and the groin. You can keep your eyes closed or open. It's totally up to you. Bring that right knee all the way back in. Give it 1 last hug. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, let the foot come down to the ground. Slide it out long as you lift the arms up and over. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, bring the left knee up towards the chest. Hands come to your left shin. Give that left leg a nice big hug in towards you. Breath in through the nose. And on the exhale, slide the hands behind the left thigh. Start to lift your left heel up towards the sky. We'll gently begin to circle your left foot round in one direction. And then take your foot in the opposite direction. Lovely. Finding a breath. On the exhale, bring your left leg all the way back in, hands to shin, give it a nice hug. Let the right hand release down beside you, palm face down. Left hand slides to the left kneecap as we begin to open the left knee out. Find that stretch in the hip. One more breath. Exhale, bring the left knee back in. One last hug in towards the chest. And then our left heel comes to the ground, slides all the way out long as our arms lift up and over. Big breath in through the nose. And this time as you exhale, hug both of your knees in towards your chest, taking your hands to your shins. We'll gently rock from side to side, finding a little lower back massage. Popping the feet now back down on the mat. We'll take the right foot and step the right foot on top of the left thigh, coming into a figure four. So from your figure four, option one, we stay here. Option two, if you want a little more, lift up your left leg, place your hands behind your left thigh, and hug the left knee in towards the chest. So the right knee is going away from you, the left leg is coming in towards you. You'll find a deep stretch here in your right glutes, your right thigh. One more deep breath. And on your next exhale, slowly begin to take your left foot all the way back down to the mat if you took the lifted option. Sliding your right foot off. Let's swap it over. Left foot comes on top of right thigh. Option one, stay here. Option two, take your right leg off the ground. Hands come behind your right thigh as you hug the right knee towards you. Keep breathing. Try not to hold the breath. On your last breath, we'll slowly begin to take your right foot back down to the mat. If you've lifted it up, ever so slowly, releasing that right foot down, bringing the left foot off. We're going to come into a bridge pose next. So shuffle your heels up towards your bottom. So you can just about touch the fingers to the back of the heels. That's when you know you're roughly in the right place. Planting those feet down onto the ground, then take the palms out beside you. It's super important in bridge pose that we don't look from left to right. So if you want to watch me demo, then please do that first before beginning to lift. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. As you exhale, start to tilt your pelvis towards you, so hip points coming towards the face. Squeeze your glutes, your bottom muscles, and begin to lift your hips up towards the sky. We're not going to go too high. This is a nice gentle class, but find some engagement in your glutes and your quads, the tops of the thighs. Nice deep breath when you're at the top. And as you exhale, gently begin to roll one vertebrae at a time, trying to roll down from the top of the spine through the mid-spine, and then lowering that lower spine down on the mat. Finding pelvis coming to neutral. Take a breath when you're back down on the mat. And as you exhale, tilt the pelvis towards you, start to lift, squeeze those glutes, squeeze the quads to lift the hips up towards the ceiling. If there's any pain in the neck at any time, please come out of this one. All your weight should be in your shoulders, not in your neck. Keep flowing, rolling ever so slowly all the way back to the ground. And then when you're back on the ground, taking a nice big inhale and exhaling to lift. We're going to take 3 more of these, finding that lovely spinal flow. You can close your eyes here if that feels nice, or keep them open. And that goes really for the whole class. I'm trying to describe to you the movements so you can feel free to keep the eyes closed in your nice cozy world if you want to. Lovely, we'll take 1 more. And on that final exhale, slowly rolling all the way back down. Bringing the pelvis into neutral. Once you're back, let's hug the knees in towards your chest. Hands come to your shins. Gently rock from side to side, finding a lower back massage. Nice big breath. On the exhale, we're going to come all the way over to the fetal position, just on one side, allowing the legs just to rest over to whichever side you've decided to roll onto. One big breath here. And on your exhale, ever so slowly and carefully begin to work your way up to a comfortable seat. So your comfortable seat might be cross-legged. If you have your pillow or your cushion and you find it nicer to sit on the edge of this prop to help tilt your pelvis forward, then feel free to do so. This pelvic tilt as you sit on the cushion just helps you find that length in the spine. If you don't want to cross your legs, if that's not good for your hips or your knees, just take your legs out in front. Once you've found that comfortable seat, let's lift up through the crown, pretending we've got that string pulling us from the crown of the head, just letting the hands rest on the knees, palms face up. We're going to start by taking a couple of shoulder rolls up, back and down. Nice big breaths. Lovely. One last shoulder roll. And then let your shoulders relax down. Take a nice big breath. Start to lift those arms up towards the sky. Stretch it out. Inhale. Draw a big circle all the way around and bring the hands into your heart center. From your heart center, feel a little pressure here between the hands. Take a breath. Lift the arms up. Exhale. Turn the palms to face down. Draw that big circle. Find that stretch in the arms. Let's do a few more in our own time. Inhale, lifting up those arms. Exhale, big circle. One last time. Inhale to lift. Exhale to circle. Lovely. Bring the hands all the way back into your heart center. Interlace the fingers here, so crossing them over as they interlace. Start to push the backs of the hands away. You're going to find a stretch in your shoulders as you do this. If you want to take it further, we begin to take the gaze down towards the ground, and this will deepen the stretch in the neck. Nice big breath. One more big breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to slowly begin to lift the arms all the way up. The gaze comes back to center. Lift those arms up above the head. Big breath in. Exhale, begin to twist using your thoracic spine, so the middle part of your spine around to the right side. And then let the hands come down. So your right hand comes down beside you. Your left hand either rests on the knee or just in front of you. Finding that twist here in the thoracic spine. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, lift the arms all the way back up, finding that center with the torso. Fold all the way down on your exhale. Let the chest soften to the ground. Let the head, neck, shoulders melt. Take a breath. And as you exhale, slowly begin to walk the hands all the way back up, finding that lift in the chest. And when you're back up, hands come to your heart center. Interlace the fingers, push the backs of the hands away as you come into that stretch once more. Inhale here. Exhale to lift the arms all the way up. Nice big breath. This time we twist to the opposite side, left side. Finding that twist through the thoracic spine, the middle part of your spine, and then letting the hands come down. Left hand down beside you, right hand either to the knee or just resting in front of the shin. Big breath here. And on your exhale, lifting up the arms. Bring yourself back round to your center, finding your forward fold when you're in your center, letting the chest fold down towards the ground. Let it melt. One more big breath here. And as you exhale, slowly begin to walk your hands round to the left side. So finding a side stretch and a fold here. Just letting the head release, neck, shoulders relax. And then we'll start to walk those hands all the way over to the other side. Finding a little stretch in the opposite side, just finding that fold. Nice big breath. And then bringing yourself back into your central position, walking your hands back up, lifting the chest. We're going to come into our tabletop position next. So if you were sat on your cushion or pillow, just pop it to one side. Find your tabletop. If you need to pop any extra blankets under your knees, feel free to do that, especially if you've got a wooden floor or any niggles in the knees. Make sure they're nice and padded out. So from your tabletop position, bring your knees underneath your hips, your wrists underneath your shoulders. Let's start by cat-cow, lifting the chest, tilting the pelvis, finding your cow. And as you exhale, rounding through the spine, doming your back, push into your hands, find cat. Nice deep breath as you lift the chest, tilt the pelvis, arch the spine for cow. Exhale, doming the back, push through the hands, find your cat. Coming into a few more of these in your own time, just moving softly, nice and carefully with the breath. Nice. Let's take one more. And on your final breath, bring the spine all the way back to neutral, finding that lovely flat back. Once you're in your flat back position, right arm is going to lift up towards the ceiling, finding that big stretch in your side. Take a breath. Exhale, thread your right hand underneath your left arm, bringing your head towards the ground so your gaze comes towards the left side. Start to walk your left hand away from you if this feels okay. Nice deep breath. On the exhale, slide your left wrist all the way back under your left elbow and start to scoop that right arm all the way back up towards the sky. Big stretch here. And then pop your right hand back on the ground. Inhale to lift your left arm up. Big breath. Exhale, thread that left arm underneath the right. Gaze comes towards the right side. Option to walk your right hand away. Take a breath. And on the exhale, right hand walks back, wrist under the elbow, lifting your left arm up, big stretch to the sky, and then pop that left hand back on the ground. We're going to come into child's pose next. So let's sit the bottom back onto your heels. Just let the forehead rest on the mat. You can remove the blanket if you wish, or keep it there. We're going to take 3 deep breaths down here in your child's pose, in through the nose, out through the nose. Just letting the forehead melt towards the mat. And on your next breath, let's slowly begin to lift the gaze. Bring yourself back up into a tabletop. And from your tabletop, pop your elbows down where your hands were. So placing the forearms on the mat. And we're going to shuffle the knees backwards here. Or if you've got your blanket in position, maybe it might be slightly easier to shuffle your forearms forward. So knees back or forearms forward, whichever works best. So you want your knees underneath your hips. We're going to take the forearms a little wider if you've got tight shoulders. If the shoulders feel okay, keep them where they are. And start to bring your forehead down towards the ground, melting the head down towards the mat. Finding our puppy pose. So there'll be a big stretch in the shoulders here. The sit bones point up towards the sky. So the sit bones are the bones on the bottom of your bottom. Coming into puppy pose, so like our downward facing dog, but our baby version. Also known as heart melting to earth pose. So just letting your heart melt towards the ground. And on your next breath, slowly begin to take the forehead off the mat. Taking your gaze slightly forward, we're going to shuffle the knees all the way back, bringing the hips down to the mat. Again, if the blanket is in the way, you can remove it, or maybe it might be nice to have the blanket under your hip points, just shuffling back a little bit. So from here, we're in our Sphinx pose now. Our elbows are underneath our shoulders, our toes are untucked and nice and connected with the ground. There's a slight activation in the glutes, in the bottom muscles, so you're not squeezing them too hard, just a gentle activation. In our Sphinx pose, we can either take the hands outwards towards the top corners, or you can bring them in, or you can have them 90 degrees. It totally depends on what feels best for your body. So taking the gaze forward to start with, we're going to breathe. 2 nice deep breaths. One last breath. And if the neck feels okay, we'll start to take your gaze over the left shoulder, inhaling, facing forward, and then starting to bring that gaze over on the exhale. Inhale to bring your gaze back to center, and exhale over the right shoulder. Inhale to come back, and exhale left shoulder. One last time, coming back, right shoulder, and then back to center. From our center position, we're going to bring the hands, slide them back underneath the shoulders, coming into our baby cobra. So there's a gentle activation, gentle lift of the chest. Tuck in your toes and bring yourself all the way back up through tabletop into your child's pose. Just letting your bottom come towards your heels, melting back into that child's pose. We'll just take a pause here, a breath in child's pose. And then on the exhale, finding your tabletop position, lifting up, tuck your toes, take a downward facing dog, hip points come up and back. Sit bones point towards the sky, gentle downward dog, find a little pedal with the heels. Let the fingers spread wide, bring your weight forward into those finger mounds rather than at the back of the palms, just to help protect the wrists. One last big breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, slowly begin to walk the feet all the way up towards the hands. Bring yourself into a forward fold. From forward fold, gentle bend in the knee. Take opposite hand to elbow for ragdoll. In ragdoll, you can stay here nice and still, or you can take a gentle rock from side to side. Just allowing your breath to be nice and long. Finding that gentle rock from side to side. If that feels nice for your spine. One last breath. And on the exhale, let your hands release, rolling ever so slowly all the way up through the spine. Bring yourself up to a standing position. One vertebrae at a time. The last thing to come up will be the neck. Once you're up, give your shoulders a couple of rolls up, back and down. Find Tadasana, mountain pose, feet hip distance. Find that connection with the glutes and the quads, turning them on, tucking the pelvis if you have a tendency to stick your bottom out. Finding that length in the crown, taking a nice deep breath. As you exhale, exhale it out through the mouth. Inhale, lift your arms to the sky, big breath in. Exhale, find your forward fold. From your forward fold, lift your chest, hands come to either your shins or your thighs for your flat back. As you exhale, release all the way back into your fold. Bend your knees, begin to roll one vertebrae at a time all the way back up to standing, ever so slow, there's no rush, uncurling. Coming back up to standing position, we'll inhale, lift our arms up towards the sky, and as we exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, lift your chest, find a flat back, hands to thighs or shins. Exhale, release all the way back down, knees bent. Gently begin to roll all the way back up. Nice and slow. Inhale when you get back up. Lift the arms. Exhale, fold. We're going to flow in this pattern for a few more rounds, lifting the chest, finding that flat back. Exhaling, releasing all the way down, bending the knees and rolling all the way back up to standing. Just moving at your own time, your own pace. Inhaling to lift those arms. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, release. Bending the knees, gently rolling all the way through the spine, ever so slow. Coming back to standing. Last one. Move with the breath. And finally rolling all the way back up, nice and slow, no rush. Nice big inhale, lift the arms. This time exhale, fold to the ground, and when you fold, bend your knees, hands come to the mat. Let your right leg step back behind you, your right knee comes down. Left leg steps back, left knee comes down. We're going to come into our tabletop and just take some circles or maybe figures of 8 with your hips, finding a little circle or wiggle. There is no right and wrong to this. Just move your hips however feels natural for you. Again, using those blankets under knees if needed. Close your eyes to really connect the breath with the movement. Letting your breath be long. And then bringing yourself back into a tabletop. From our tabletop position, we're going to take our pigeon pose next. So slide your right knee forward, all the way forward, just behind your right wrist. Start to take your right foot over towards the left side of the mat. Start to walk your left leg all the way back behind you and untuck your left toes. So here in your pigeon pose, we don't want any pain in the knee or the hip. If that's causing pain, please come out. If you want to intensify the stretch, then this right shin will come further towards being parallel with the short edge of the mat. Less of a stretch, the right heel comes in towards the thigh. So just adjust the pose accordingly for your body. The top of the left foot is grounding down into the mat. It's nice and untucked. If you've got a tendency to roll onto your right glute, which can sometimes happen, I'm demonstrating now, pop your brick or your cushion or whatever prop you've got underneath that right glute just to keep it nice and steady. Okay, once we've found that nice stretch in the hip and we've not got any pain, we'll take the hands, the forearms, plop them down onto the mat. And if you want to, if you've come into pigeon 100 times before and you know where you're going, feel free to walk all the way into your sleeping pigeon, bringing the forehead down to the mat. So whichever variation you wish to take, you may be on your forearms, maybe you're even staying up here lifted, that's fine. We'll be here for 5 long, deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your nose. Just keeping that breath long as your hips have a nice stretch. Three more deep breaths. And on that final exhale, slowly begin to take your gaze forward. Sliding your hands underneath, coming back up into your lifted version. Slide your right knee back underneath your right hip. Bringing yourself back into your tabletop, giving yourself a nice little wiggle with the hips, finding a circle or a figure of 8. And then from here, bring yourself back into tabletop, and we'll go on the left side this time. Left knee slides all the way forward, just behind your left wrist. Start to take your left foot over towards the right side and slide that right leg back behind you. Untuck the right toes. Okay, remember you can adjust this left shin if you need to. Hands either stay here on the mat, or if you want to come down onto your forearms, that's also an option, or walk yourself out into your full sleeping pigeon. 5 nice deep long breaths on this side. In through your nose, out through your nose. It's sometimes in these longer held poses that our mind can begin to wander. If that's happening to you, just let your breath be your guide. Bring your attention back to your breath and back to the sensations in your body. Remember, this hour is for you. This hour is to help you recharge your batteries, refill your cup. Because without giving ourselves some love, some self-care, we can't expect to have energy to give to others. Take one last deep breath in your pigeon. And on that final exhale, slowly begin to take your gaze forward. And then walk your hands onto the mat, lifting the chest nice and slow as you lift all the way back up. Sliding your left knee underneath your left hip, right knee under right hip. We'll find those circles with the hips in one direction and coming back in the other direction. From our tabletop, we're going to make our way into a seated position. So however you wish to do that, you can cross your ankles and start to walk yourself back, bringing your bottom behind you. Or if you want to take any other option, feel free. So once you're in your seated position, we are going to bring our feet together to touch, so the soles of the feet into our Baddha Konasana. And depending on how you feel about touching your feet, if you're quite happy to touch your feet, just take your thumbs to the soles of your feet and give them a little circle on the fleshy parts. So try to avoid the joints. Just a little self-love. So depending on how your hips feel, you can take your feet further away. If your hips are feeling a little grumpy today, a little tight, if your hips are feeling good, you can bring them closer up. And if they're a bit further away, just rest the hands on your shins. Don't worry about your foot massage. So if you are here massaging the feet, just giving yourself a little bit of love and attention. I'm sure we've all been walking a lot lately. because let's face it, that's all we can do at the moment. So give those feet a little love. Okay, one last breath, and then we'll find some stillness. Let the hands come to the feet or the shins, whichever variation you're taking. Lift up through the chest, find that nice long spine with an inhale. And as you exhale, begin to fold your chest forward towards your feet, if that feels accessible for your body. If it's not, then keep your chest nice and lifted. If you fold, you'll find a deeper stretch in your thigh, in your groin, in your hips. We'll take 3 deep inhales through the nose, exhales through the nose here. And on that final exhale, ever so slowly rolling all the way back up, nice and slow. We'll bring ourselves back up to center. And when you're back up in center, pop your feet on the ground so the soles of the feet are coming to the mat. We're going to take a boat pose next. Slide your hands behind the backs of your thighs, find length in your spine so you're sitting up nice and tall. Lift your right foot off the ground and lift your left foot up to join. Just hold this pose for 3 breaths. Let your shoulders relax down. You can take your hands off the thighs if you're feeling like you want a little bit more today, or if you just want to keep it cozy, keep the hands on. One last deep breath. And on the exhale, let the feet come all the way down nice and slow, and then we'll find our way onto our backs. So keep the hands behind the thighs, slowly begin to roll ever so carefully down onto the mat. Once you get down, just letting everything relax, letting the shoulders relax, walking the feet a little bit closer up towards your bottom. Take your arms out wide into your T shape, or if you're a little limited in space at home, you can come into these cactus arms with your elbows in line with your shoulders. We've got 2 options here. Option 1, we're going to bring the knees over to the right side, coming into our supine twist. Taking the gaze over the left shoulder if you want to accentuate, only if the neck feels okay to do so. Option 2, if you want to take it a step further, firstly bring your gaze back to center, so it's up towards the ceiling, and then we'll come into cat pulling tail. So if we're coming into this pose, take the right foot, start to shuffle it up towards your bottom. So you shuffle your right heel up towards your bum, take your left hand right down beside you so you can clasp the top of that right foot with your left hand. Your left leg might be able to extend out and over towards the right side. And then once you're here, just allowing yourself to release. You've got a supine twist, we've got a stretch in the hip and a quad stretch going on here. So just try and release into the pose. If there's any discomfort at any time, please come back out. If you're in your supine twist and you want some support, you can pop a cushion or a pillow underneath your knees. So we're going to take 5 deep breaths here. In through your nose, out through your nose, finding stillness, finding softness. One last deep breath. And on your next breath, slowly begin to Bend your top knee. Let your left hand release the right foot. Bring yourself back into your supine twist. Nice big breath in through the nose, and as you exhale, start to bring your knees all the way back to center. Once you're back in center, we'll bring the knees this time over towards the left side. Option to stay here in your supine twist if that's enough for you today. That's absolutely fine. Remember, we move with our bodies, not our ego in our yoga practice. If you need to pop a cushion or a pillow underneath the knees here to lessen the stretch, then do that. If you're coming into cat pulling tail, your bottom foot, so that your left foot starts to shuffle up towards the glutes. Your right hand comes down to clasp the top of that left foot, and your right leg will extend out over to the left side. 5 deep breaths on this side, just allowing your eyes to close if that feels good for you to do so. Two last breaths. And on that last final exhale, if you've come into your cat pulling tail, just release the hands, bending that top leg, popping it back into your supine twist, arms extending out wide, and then slowly begin to bring your knees back up towards center, and then hug your knees in towards your chest. Hands to shins, let's rock gently from side to side, finding a lower back massage here. If happy baby is in your practice, feel free to take a happy baby, bringing your peace fingers to your big toes, or maybe to the outside of your feet. Just gently rocking from side to side in whichever variation you choose to take. One more deep breath. And on the final exhale, slowly begin to bring your feet back down onto the mat. We're going to take our last pose before Shavasana, and that's legs up the wall. So if you have a wall that is relatively easy for you to shuffle your bottom up against and rest your heels on the wall, then feel free to do that. If you don't worry, take your blankets, fold up your blanket, create a little rectangular shape with your blanket, so you've got a bit of padding here. And what we'll do with the blanket is we'll pop it under our tailbone. So our tailbone is the very, very last part of the spine that connects with your bottom. So just lifting up the bottom and sliding that blanket underneath just to give you a little support as you lift your legs up, heels resting on your imaginary wall. So heels against the physical wall is obviously going to be a little bit easier because you've got something to rest against. So those of you who have a wall, if you want to take the more challenging option, then feel free to do so. And just let the head, the neck, the shoulders relax. Just notice if you're holding any tension in the jaw here, just let the jaw soften. And the hands can be facing upwards just to allow an openness to the chest. We're going to stay here for 1 more minute. And your legs up the wall. Just let those shoulders soften and melt away. Eyes can be closed. And this pose is so good for our well-being, helping the drainage, the lymphatic drainage in our legs. 5 last deep breaths. And on that final exhale, if your feet are physically on your wall, then slowly begin to slide the feet down to one side. If your legs are in the air, start to hug your knees in towards your chest. And everybody coming back onto your mat, just finding a gentle rock from side to side. And once you've released the lower back by giving it a little rock, we'll next come into our Shavasana. So if you have a jumper, pair of socks that you want to put on, please do so now. If you want to turn down any bright lights, if you would like to grab your blankets, your pillows, any nice comfy items that you've got within reach. I'll just give you a moment or two to get ready. If you've got any eye pillows, using them. And when you're ready, make your way down into your Shavasana position of choice. So you can either have your feet on the ground, letting your knees fall into one another like we started our class with. Or if you prefer, take the legs out long and let the feet fall out to either side. Hands can either rest on your belly or they can come down beside you, palms face up, just allowing the chest to be nice and open. Or if you have any other variations of Shavasana, of relaxation that you want to take, feel free. If you've got a sofa or a bed nearby and you would rather lie on that, then why not make the most of it? We're doing our Zoom classes at home, so just get yourself as comfy as possible. And when you're comfy, let's try to find some stillness. So get out any last fidgets, any last wriggles, any last itches of the nose, and find some stillness. When you're in your stillness, we'll take a big breath in through our nose, breathe it out through your mouth. And as you lie here, feeling that soft stillness, that peace, just flowing like a wave over the body. Tonight, I want you to take yourself to the ocean, to the beach, to any beach of your choice. Maybe it's a beach in Devon. Maybe it's a tropical beach in the Maldives. Maybe it's your imaginary dream beach. I don't mind. Just take yourself there and picture yourself walking along this beach. Listen to the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. Feel the breeze against your skin. The sun warming your face. You feel present. You feel connected with nature. You feel at ease. There's no one else on your beach. You're the only one here. There's no to-do lists, no wants, no needs from anyone else. It's just you. Just feel how that feels in your body, the sensations, the freeness. Just allow yourself for this moment to breathe, to walk, feeling the sand underneath your toes. And as you walk along your beach, you look down and you spot an object. A beautiful object. Maybe it's a piece of driftwood or a shell. You hold it in your hand, feeling its weight, feeling its texture, its warmth, noticing its colors, its form. You take it all in, and then you pop the object back down on the ground, and you carry on walking along your beach. You sit a couple of meters back from the shore, watching the waves as they crash, taking notice of their power, feeling connected with nature, feeling at peace, feeling at ease. You carry on walking along your beach, finding a sheltered spot. You lie down on your towel, letting the sand or the pebbles support your weight, bringing your attention to your left toes. Soften your left toes. Soften your left foot, your left ankle, and your left leg. Bring your attention to your right toes. Soften your right toes, your right foot, your right ankle, and your right leg. Bring your attention to your bottom, your belly, your chest, and your back. Soften your bottom, soften your belly, soften your chest, and soften your back. Bring your attention to your left fingers. Soften your left fingers. Soften your left hand, your left wrist, and your left arm. Bring your attention to your right fingers. Soften your right fingers, your right hand, your right wrist, and your right arm. Bring your attention to your belly, your chest, your back. Let the belly soften, the chest soften, the back soften. Bring your attention to the shoulders, the neck, the jaw. 3 areas of the body that carry around a lot of stress and tension with us every day. Allow the shoulders to soften, the neck to soften, the jaw to soften. Bring the attention to the face. Let the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the cheeks, and the chin soften. Let the whole face soften. Let the whole face soften. Let the whole face soften. Let the whole body soften. Let the whole body soften. Let the whole body soften. Ever so slowly, we're going to bring some movement back into our fingers and our toes. Just giving them a little wiggle, finding some movement as we bring ourselves back into the room. On your next breath, start to lift your arms up over your head. Find a nice big body stretch from your fingertips to your toes. And as you exhale, hug your knees into your chest, hands come to your shins, gently begin to rock from side to side. Ever so slowly find your way over onto one side into the fetal position. We're just going to pause here in the fetal position, allowing the eyes to close. Just on your next breath, slowly begin to work your way back up to a seated position. Once you're back in a seated position, maybe the legs are crossed, maybe the legs are out in front. We're going to close our eyes if they've come back open. Let the hands rest on the knees, palms face up. Gently begin to circle the nose to stretch out the neck ever so slowly in one direction, and then take that circle back in the opposite direction. Bringing the head all the way back to stillness, back to center. Let the hands come in together at heart center into prayer position. Rub the hands, create some heat. Once you've created heat in those hands, place one hand on your heart, place the other hand on top. We're going to take 5 deep breaths together to end our class tonight, allowing the eyes to stay closed if you can, listening to the rise and fall of your chest. I'm going to read you that poem once more. It's okay. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to not hold it all together. It's okay to wish things were different. Beautiful friend, it's okay to feel everything that you're feeling. Even when you think you're supposed to be strong, it's okay not to be. It's okay to lean on someone else. It's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're weak. Asking for help means that you're strong. Give yourself time. Allow yourself to let go of everything you've been holding in, because I promise, allowing yourself to be vulnerable only makes you stronger. Remember this in the next few days, few weeks, maybe even months, that it's okay not to feel okay, and it's okay to ask for help. We all feel like we have to be strong all of the time. We have to show our brave face. But remember, we're not invincible, we're human. So just be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. And thank yourself for taking this hour out of your busy schedule for you time. Take one more deep breath. Listening to that rise and fall of the chest. And as you exhale, turn the corners of the mouth upwards. Yes, into a smile. Feel that positivity flood the mind, the body. And as you exhale, let the hands come together into prayer. Blink the eyes back open. And once your eyes are back open, maybe you'd like to join me in ending our class this evening with a namaste. Namaste.